Back on our YouTube channel for the Nerdcast Empire, the Hard Rock Empire, with a special video, something that we haven't done yet on this channel, but we've had the opportunity to do a little bit of React content on our YouTube channel, so we're going to be doing that today. I am Matt in the studio. Great to have you along with us, joined as always by Mike. Mike, how's it going?
It's going. We've spent now, 2 years finding new music and highlighting it where we can. It's kind of nice to have an instance where someone brings the new music to us. And that's kind of what we have going on today.
Yeah, an opportunity for us to take a look at a band, Kalamity Kills, and they have a new video out as of today as we are recording this, and it's the video for the song Afraid, and we're going to take a look at it. Mike has not yet listened to this song. I did preview the song when I got the opportunity from our friends at C Squared Music that we get a lot of press releases from them. They do a great job spotlighting new artists and continuing artists, and they ask for some React content, and we've never really done that on this podcast, but everybody else does on YouTube. Why not us?
Yeah, absolutely. And my mindset was kind of, I want no knowledge coming into this. I want to hear this for the first time, and maybe it won't be the most refined opinion, but it'll be kind of my raw first impression of this band.
And we'll be sharing Chris's thoughts as well as we go through this video, but we're going to play the video once I give you a little bit of information about the band, and then, like I said, we'll get Mike's thoughts as well. And again, if you like what you hear from them, you can definitely check these guys out. Obviously, if you like what you hear from us, you have our podcast information on the screen. We are live every Sunday night, 7 o'clock Eastern Time, with the Hard Rock Empire, where we spotlight all the new hard rock and heavy metal that comes out each and every week. So let's talk about Kalamity Kills. They're a hard rock band formed in East Nashville, Tennessee, so not too far from us, maybe about 4.5 hours down the road. Formed in 2022 by vocalist Jamey Rowe and guitarist-producer Jamey Perrenot. I believe that's how it's pronounced. Apologies if I'm wrong. The band emerged from the ashes of a solo project into a fully realized sonic assault, fueled by raw emotion, modern aggression, and a deep respect for rock's roots, with a sound that fuses the swagger of classic hard rock with the intensity and polish of modern metal. Kalamity Kills strikes a rare balance between power and vulnerability. These guys have had a lot of success. They have collaborated with some members of Korn, Three Doors Down, LA Guns, Conquer Divide, and Under Oath. Their music has appeared on SiriusXM's Octane channel and has appeared on the Billboard Active Rock charts. So already a lot of success for this band that has really only been together as a new unit for 3 years. So it's really exciting to see them kind of take off. And now they have put together this video, which was produced and mixed by Perrenot. Just some comments on the video. It says it's a bold and unapologetic anthem of resilience, blending razor-edge guitars with soaring vocals and an unflinching lyrical core. The comments from Rowe about the video said that they've been super stoked since the April release of Afraid, and the response that it has gotten. The message of believing and standing up for oneself is always a thing we will touch upon. We had released a cool lyric video, but wanted to have a standalone music video in the YouTube era. I love that we can bypass the machine and go directly to the fans. Honestly, that's something we've talked about a lot on the podcast, that is kind of the modern way now, and bands that are able to do this and create music videos really stand apart.
Yeah, I mean, it's really cool that they've had some play on Octane, but otherwise, that's kind of how it works now, is you create the music, you get it out to people. You don't have to worry about any kind of radio station play, not terrestrial radio, not any kind of big label entity trying to decide the winners and losers of music. It's really up to the listener, and one of the reasons we do the podcast is to try to highlight music like that. And I think I love the whole do-it-yourself ethos here. I think it's what you have to do, but you like when the band also kind of embraces it to that next degree.
Yeah, no question about that. Let's take a look at this video. This is Afraid from Kalamity Kills. Mike's going to be giving his first impressions once the video is over, and we will post a link in the YouTube card at the top of the screen so you can click over to watch the video. Make sure you support the band. We always encourage you to go over there. And if you go over there and leave a comment for them, let them know you found them through the Hard Rock Empire. We'd love to kind of spread the word of what we're doing as well. But let's check this out. This is Kalamity Kills and their new video for Afraid.
You got the key to the cave.
So that is the music video for Kalamity Kills and Afraid. And we have checked that out for the first time here on the Hard Rock Empire. Mike, you just got a chance to listen to that song for the first time. What are your first impressions?
Yeah, my first impressions are this is a band that could probably fit on a tour with just about anybody. I think their sound has a nice blend of so many different styles. I think early on you do kind of get a nu metal vibe from it. Kind of having the multiple vocal thing going on certainly helps as well. In the article, it mentioned some of the artists they've worked with, right?
Yeah, Korn, Three Doors Down, LA Guns,
Conquer, Divide, and Under Oath.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, you could see them easily touring with any of those bands, whether it's nu metal, post grunge, kind of the sleaze rock thing with LA Guns. Some of the more, I don't want to say screamo, but that kind of 2000s, the aughts bands like Under Oath, they would fit in fine there, and perfectly well on Sirius XM's Octane. I think there's a lot to like about it if you like any type of hard rock.
I want to shout out Julia Lauren Bullock on bass/vocals and Rob Bodley on drums as well in this band. They were not mentioned originally in the early part of the release, but wanted to give them a shout out. Thought the guitar solo about halfway through was really outstanding. I think it definitely brings that punch that's maybe a little different than a lot of the modern rock. It definitely feels like more of a throwback to a different era of metal where you have these powerful guitar solos. But I think you've hit the nail on the head. To me, they're a band that doesn't necessarily fall into one genre, which we get that a lot on our podcast. It's bands that are clearly influenced by a lot of different types of music. And I think because of that, it does allow them to appeal to a lot of different types of metal fans. I don't think it's just going to be one genre of metal. It's like, if you're only into, nu metal, or you're only into sleaze metal or whatever it may be, that you're going to like this band. I think this is a band that can appeal across. And then when you're looking to get on Octane, when you're looking to go out on tour, reach the Billboard charts, that's kind of what you have to have, is that mass appeal. And I think, these guys have really found a way to find that sound that, again, feels modern without really sacrificing maybe where some of their influences come from.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you mentioned the guitar solo, and I feel like that's a separating factor from kind of the comparisons to nu metal, where these guys aren't afraid to throw in what just feels like a really cool hard rock solo that you would see in a band from the early 90s. It kind of makes me wonder, I feel like over the last couple of years, we've seen more and more bands kind of from Tennessee and Nashville. I have to assume, and I'd have to do more research, that there's kind of a nice, thriving metal scene in and around that area.
Yeah, I'm going to be in Nashville in October, so maybe I'll have to start checking out to see if there's some metal acts that will be performing in that area. But it does feel like we're starting to see that area of Tennessee become more of a metal and hard rock hotbed, whereas before it was maybe primarily country music. But that's great to see that metal is really kind of showing up everywhere, which is, we want metal to be everywhere. And especially here in the States, where it does feel a little more few and far between here in the United States compared to, say, Europe, where we see a lot of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Chris gave us some thoughts as well. Chris, of course, joined us on the podcast from time to time, but what did Chris have to say about Kalamity Kills?
On the first playthrough, he definitely felt an early 2000s vibe, which is up his alley. Of course it is. Heavy background riffing that persists throughout and chugs all along definitely fit. He comments on the vocal layering and other things that kind of spice it up from being just kind of one of the many bands of that genre. Singer and band as a whole have a stellar range by comparison to some of the other bands, especially in the early 2000s kind of nu metal scene. Love the mix of the harsher vocals in the verses, rounding it out with kind of hard rock lightness to the edge on the chorus. He thought the solo was amazing, and a song that got him starting to look into their back catalog. So that's really what you're looking for here, right?
Yeah, for sure. When it's somebody new that maybe you haven't heard before, if you're interested in checking out more of their music, I think that's a really good thing. Any final thoughts before we wrap this review up?
Well, I think the other thing he mentions, and it's kind of like, I think we've all kind of used this as a comparison. One of the things we cover on our podcast is pro wrestling, and when you hear a song and you think that could be a theme to a WWE premium live event or pay-per-view, that's always a seal of approval, and he mentions that, he could see that being the theme to King of the Ring or Clash at the Castle or whatever, and it would fit perfectly, and I totally agree with that.
Yeah, for sure. I think a lot of NXT events, especially the Black and Gold era, used a lot of music that sounded like this. So I think WWE was interested. I'm sure these guys would be interested as well. But a big thanks to the label for reaching out, and obviously their record label is Perrenot Recordings. Want to give credit to them. That's when the album Calamity Kills Expanded Edition will come out on September the 9th. So be on the lookout for that. We will certainly cycle back around when we talk about the music of September the 9th, which will probably come up in late September on our podcast. So we encourage you to join us either live on Twitch or live on YouTube every Sunday night, 7 o'clock Eastern time. But this is our first swing at doing a reaction video. We're going to be doing more video content on our YouTube page, so make sure you subscribe. Get notifications of when we put a new video up, because the plan is to start doing videos more regularly on this channel, and this is kind of a good way to kick it off, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. And I do want to mention, it sounds like they're going to have limited quantities of the physical CD on September 9th, but they also mention a Candy Apple Red vinyl edition the following April 2026. So now's the time to get your physical copies on September and hold out for that record, that vinyl in April.
Calamity Kills clearly on the rise, and we're certainly happy to get a chance to react to their newest music video, Afraid, here on the Hard Rock Empire. Don't forget to go to their page, like the video, leave them a comment, buy their album when it comes out, and, of course, stop by our podcast every Sunday night at 7 o'clock on YouTube or on Twitch. And until then, for Chris and for Mike, I'm Matt saying so long. We'll talk to you again on Sunday night on the Hard Rock Empire.